Do you ever get the feeling that your life is ever so slightly out of control? And that you have 1,001 things to do, but no time to do them? Maybe you've tried using a system like GTD and found it overcomplicated. Or maybe you've started a bullet journal, but got fed up with the time it takes to set up and maintain. This was me a year ago. I searched for a system that would help me get control of my life, and when I didn't find it, I made my own. My name is Chris Kyle, and I created Strikethru, a to-do list system that's flexible enough to handle both your work and personal life, that's clever enough to manage future events, and that's simple enough that even your granny could use it. Strikethru has brought order to my life. It might do the same for you. Here's how it works. First things first, you'll need a notebook. Strikethru can be used with pretty much any notebook, but if you're not using one with numbered pages, your first task will be to add page numbers all the way through. I'm using a Strikethru notebook in this walkthrough just because they come with page numbers, and you'll see why this is important later. Okay, there are 4 sections to Strikethru: the live list, the dump, the vault, and the calendar. The sections should be clearly marked in your notebook. In this example, I've used tags to help distinguish the sections. You'll need to work out beforehand roughly how much of your notebook will be dedicated to each section. I normally break my sections down as follows: the live list, 50% of my notebook; the dump, 10%; the vault, 40%; and the calendar, well, it doesn't take up any space because we use the end pages. So let's start with the live list. This is the most important section because it contains a list of tasks that need worked on right now. There's only ever one live list. It's not dated, so you can't skip ahead and fill tasks in for a future date. That would defeat the purpose of having one and only one go-to list right now. So start by turning to the first page and drawing 9 circles down the left hand side and 9 corresponding circles down the right hand side, but indented by 1 centimetre. The circles down the left hand side are for the task numbers, and those down the right hand side are used for adding priority. And that's it. Simple. I keep the number of tasks in my live list to single figures because I don't want to add too much to my plate. You can add as many as you want, but my advice is to keep it to a minimum. Your job is to complete all the items on your live list. It's not time dependent, so if you find you've only completed a couple of tasks on your list, no problem. Just be aware that the remaining items are still live and need attention when you can give it. If you find you're getting through more than 9 tasks each day, you can increase the size of the list. However, be wary of adding too many tasks to your live list. You don't want to experience burnout. We'll come back to the live list later to show you how it's populated, but now let's take a look at the dump section. The dump section is as it sounds, a free-form dumping ground for all your thoughts, ideas, scribbles and doodles. It's right at the back of the notebook and should take up around 20 or so pages. It's really just for brainstorming and note-taking. This is an example of a page from my dump. You'll notice there aren't any task numbers and nothing gets worked on or completed in this section. You can, however, use whatever is in the dump to give you ideas about items to create on your live list and the vault lists. Speaking of the vault, let's take a look at that now. The vault sits between the live list and the dump. It contains lists which are used to feed the live list as and when you decide to move them in there to be worked on. Each list in the vault has a title at the top to describe the list, and a tag in the form of a box which describes the type of list. This tag is just to quickly identify what the list is all about. Types can pretty much be anything you choose, but to give you some ideas, I created a cheat sheet showing the list types I mainly use. Lists in the vault are set up similarly to the live list, with numbered circles on the left and priority circles on the right. However, unlike the live list, the amount of items you can add to the vault list is only limited by the length of the page. I prefer to take 2 lines per item like this, so each of my lists have around 20 possible tasks in them. Here's an example list showing my to-dos for this week and a project I'm currently working on. Now would be a good time to explain a useful feature of Strikethru called referencing. If you've ever tried bullet journaling, you'll know how much of a pain it is to carry over tasks because you have to rewrite them elsewhere. With Strikethru, you don't need to. That's because every single task has a unique identifier made up of the page number and the item number. So referencing is just an easy way of moving tasks between sections. You can even pull whole lists into your live list just by using the page numbers alone. This is particularly useful if you happen to have a lot on your plate at any stage. And the last section is the calendar section. This is another unique feature of the Strikethru system, because it enables you to add future tasks to your notebook while still maintaining the concept of one single live list. The calendar section has a special kind of layout for each month that allows you to add individual tasks to each day, week and month. You can also add full lists to be worked on. Now you can draw out your own Strikethru style calendars for each month, or you can download them from our website for free, print them out and stick them in your notebook. They go in the very front of the notebook like this, and then you add reference to the tasks in the spaces for the month. So in this example for January, these are my monthly to-dos, my weekly to-dos, and here are tasks that need done on specific dates. During your review, you simply refer to your calendar and see what tasks need pulled into your live list. Speaking of the review, let's take a look at what it is and why it's important. The review is an essential part of the Strikethru system. It ensures your system runs smoothly, is updated regularly, and it provides you with clarity of what needs done right now. Think of it like housework. And just like if you never did any housework, your house would become a mess, if you don't review your system, it'll start becoming less and less effective. So it's important to do regular reviews. There are two types of reviews in Strikethru. I've imaginatively called them the small and big review. The small review should last no more than 5 minutes and should be done at least once a week. I do a small review every night. The purpose of the small review is to ensure your live list stays up to date. Step 1 is to go through your live list and complete, delete or return any tasks to the vault. Step 2 is to populate the new live lists with any ad hoc tasks. Step 3 is to go through your vault lists and move any task you want to work on into the live list. And finally, step 4 is to move anything on your monthly calendar that needs worked on into the live list. The big review should be done at least once a month. I do a big review once a week. The purpose of the big review is to ensure all sections of your Strikethru system are up to date. Step 1 is to add any new tasks and create new lists in the vault. Step 2 is to go through your dump and see if there's anything new that could require a task or even a list to be created in the vault. Step 3 is to go through the vault and identify any time-related tasks that need to be added to the calendar for the upcoming period between now and your next scheduled big review. And that's it. The more you review, the better your system will work. Now is probably a good time to explain how to complete a task in Strikethru, and this is where the system gets its name from. If you've ever put a line through something you've completed, you'll know how good it feels. It's almost cathartic. So when you complete a task, you put a line through it like this. If the task is no longer needed, then you should delete it by adding an X on the tail. If you want to return the task to the vault, you add a left arrow to the tail. And if you want to carry it over to the next live list, it's a right arrow. You can strike through tasks as and when you complete them. You can also go back during the review and complete them then. For items you've referenced from the vault, you'll need to carry out the same action for the original entry in order to maintain continuity, and this can be done in your reviews also. So let's try and fill out our live list by doing a review right now. We'll assume this is the first live list we've ever set up, so there's no need to go back and review the last live list, because there isn't one. So start by adding any ad hoc tasks that you need worked on now. These are just things you can think off the top of your head right now. If we don't complete them in this session, we can always add them to the vault later. Okay, next let's go to our vault and see what tasks we want to work on from the list there and add them to the live list using the unique reference number. Next let's go to our calendar and see if there are any tasks for the next few days or even for this week or month that we need to work on. Again, add them to the live list. And finally, we'll have a quick look at our scribbles in the dump and see if there's anything that needs turned into a task and worked on in the live list. And that's it. These are now tasks I'm going to work on. Because I review my system every evening, my live list is essentially a to-do today. However, if you only reviewed your list once a week, the live list would represent a to-do this week list. The real beauty of Strikethru is that it can be made as simple or as complex as you want and need. You can just have a dump section for notes and a live list for working on tasks in the now if you really want to keep it simple. Hopefully you've got a better idea of what Strikethru is and how it might bring some control to your life. If you want to try it out but you're still not sure or you have any questions, please feel free to drop me a mail, chris@striketh.ru. Thanks for watching.